Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that's absolutely crucial for insurance agencies, for their clients too, but it often kind of happens behind the scenes. We're talking about reviewing insurance declaration pages.
That's right. Yeah, the deck page. Think of it as the quick summary, the cheat sheet for an insurance policy.
The cheat sheet, I like that.
Yeah, it lays out all the key stuff, coverage limits, deductibles, who's insured, what property or vehicle is covered, all the essentials, basically right there.
Exactly. It's that go-to reference for agents and policyholders.
Hmm.
And, well, it might seem like just more paperwork, right? But getting these deck pages accurate, especially when a policy renews, is just so important.
Absolutely critical.
It's not just admin work. It's really about protecting the client, making sure the policy actually does what it's supposed to do, and honestly protecting the agency from liability too.
Oh, definitely. The risks, if you overlook something, even a small error on that deck page, they can be pretty significant.
Like what?
Well, imagine a client's claim gets held up just because of a typo in an address, or they find out their deductible is way higher than they thought when they actually have a claim.
Ouch. Yeah.
That leads to unhappy clients, obviously. But it also really opens the agency up to E&O exposures, errors and omissions, big problems.
Okay, so picture this.
Yeah.
An agent, maybe they're handling renewals for hundreds, maybe thousands of policies, personal lines, business lines.
Yeah, it adds up fast.
So they have to compare the brand new duck page with the old one, line by line, for every single policy. That sounds incredibly time-consuming.
It is.
And just ripe for mistakes, right? Human error creeping in.
Exactly. And that's really the challenge we're digging into today. How do agencies manage this vital but super demanding task accurately and efficiently?
Okay.
And we're going to look at a potential solution designed specifically for this. Vertaware InsureGenie's CompareGenie.
CompareGenie. Okay, the name suggests what it does. So what's the promise here? How does it help agencies tackle this deck page headache?
Well, the main goal is to automate that manual comparison, the side-by-side check. It's built to cut down the time agents spend staring at these pages quite dramatically and, just as importantly, slash the number of errors that happen when people do it manually.
All right, let's get into the weeds a bit. When an agent looks at a Dagum page, what are the absolute must-check items? What's actually on this snapshot?
Okay, so there's a lot packed in there. You've got the unique policy number, obviously, the full legal name and address of the named insured or insured. Sometimes there's more than one.
Right.
It clearly states the policy period, start date, end date. Very important. Then a description of what's actually insured. Is it a house, a car, business operations?
Okay.
Then you get the big ones,
Uh-huh.
the coverage limits for every type of insurance in that policy. Alongside that, the deductible amounts what the client pays out of pocket. The premium is on there, the total cost, often broken down by coverage. And finally, a list of all the forms and endorsements attached to the policy. And crucially, their addition dates. Those dates can signal changes.
You called it a snapshot in time earlier. Why is that phrasing so key when we're talking about renewals?
Right, because that deck page reflects the policy at that specific point it was issued or last renewed. But things change, don't they?
Life happens, yeah.
People move, businesses add locations, coverage needs shift. So every single renewal, that snapshot needs a hard look against the last one. You have to confirm it still accurately shows what the client needs and what you both agreed on for the next policy term.
So comparing the old and new deck pages is basically checking if the picture still matches reality and the agreement.
Precisely. You're making sure that new snapshot is exactly what everyone intended for the upcoming year. Any little error, anything off on that deck page, even if it seems minor, can mess up the whole understanding of the coverage.
And lead to problems later.
Big problems when a claim happens, potentially. Yeah.
Okay, let's walk through the manual review. What are agents actually comparing? Does it look different for, say, a simple auto policy versus a complex business policy?
It's definitely detailed work, needs to be systematic. So for personal lines, think auto, home agents are verifying a whole list of things.
Like what?
Full legal names, spelled correctly, everyone included, current mailing address, the property address itself, double-checking the policy number, the effective and expiration dates, you can't have gaps.
Right, yeah.
Then comparing the actual coverage, liability limits, IM limits on auto, for home, the dwelling coverage, other structures, personal property, medical payments, comparing all those dollar amounts.
Deductibles, too.
Absolutely. Comp and collision deductibles for the cars, the homeowner's deductible, got to check those. Also, making sure the right vehicles are listed year, make, model VIN. That VIN is critical.
Okay.
And all the drivers are still correct. For homeowners, any scheduled items, jewelry, art, is replacement cost value, RCV, still there? Any special endorsements like water backup?
Wow.
And finally, yeah, the total premium, how it breaks down, and are all the discounts they expect still applied? It's a lot.
That's an intense checklist for one personal policy. How does that compare to the business line side? That must be even more complex.
Oh, it usually is, often significantly more complex. You're verifying the full legal business name, any DBAs doing business A's names, all the insured locations, the mailing address.
Standard stuff first.
Right. Policy ID, effective dates, same as personal, but then the coverages get much more layered. General liability limits per occurrence, aggregate, products completed operations, damage to rented premises limits, building values, business personal property BPP values, business income coverage, employer's liability limits for workers' comp.
Okay, lots of specific coverages.
And the property deductibles can be trickier too, maybe different deductibles for wind versus fire. Then you have schedules. Property locations, equipment lists for inland marine, vehicle schedules for commercial auto, a clear description of the business operations.
That description seems important.
Very. And you need to check the causes of loss form. Is it special form, broad, basic? That dictates what perils are covered. Big difference. Plus, critical endorsements, additional insureds, waivers of subrogation, maybe industry-specific ones like cyber, professional liability, hired and non-owned auto.
And the premium.
Yeah, check the total premium, but also the basis for it.
Okay.
Is it based on payroll for workers' comp? Sales for GL? Are there credits or debits applied? And specifically for workers' comp, you need to verify the states of operation, the right classification codes, estimated payrolls, and the experience mod factor.
It's just staggering when you list it all out like that. All these tiny details an agent has to check and compare.
Yeah.
Why is each one so critical? What's the actual risk if something gets missed?
Well, each piece confirms something vital. Correct names and addresses, ensures the right entity is covered and they get the mail. Policy numbers and dates. Avoids gaps in coverage, limits, guarantees the agreed-upon protection level, deductibles, clarifies the client's share of a loss.
Makes sense.
Accurate schedules, make sure all their stuff, locations, vehicles, equipment is actually covered, endorsements, confirms the policy is tailored correctly, and crucial coverages weren't dropped. Premium and discounts, ensures fair billing.
And for business.
Things like class codes and payroll for workers' comp are huge for compliance and getting the premium right. At the end of the day, it's about making sure the client has the exact protection they think they have, that they paid for, and that the agency did its job properly.
Okay, so given all that complexity, what are the most common mistakes agents should really be watching out for? Where do things typically go wrong?
There are definitely recurring themes. Simple typos, misspelled names, wrong dates, incorrect addresses happen more than you'd think.
Just typos.
Yeah, but they can cause problems. Also, missing insureds is a big one. Maybe a new driver wasn't added, or a new business location, missing vehicles or equipment from schedules. Unexplained drops in coverage limits or surprise increases in deductibles, those are major red flags. Missing endorsements that should be there, or the wrong version of one. Premium errors, missing discounts. And for businesses, definitely wrong classification codes or outdated payroll figures on workers' comp. Those can be huge issues.
Right, so we've established this manual check is incredibly detailed and really prone to human error. Let's talk consequences. What happens when things do get missed? You mentioned silent killers earlier.
Yeah, the renewal process, if you're not super careful, is unfortunately full of pitfalls. And these silent killers, they're the small mistakes that slip through a manual review. They just sit there quiet until a claim happens, then boom.
Can you give an example?
Sure. A simple typo in an email address on the deck page. Seems minor, right? But what if a vital claim email goes there, the client never sees it, and it causes delays or even a denial? That tiny typo just created a massive headache. Or not updating info, like failing to add a teenage driver to the auto policy. If they have an accident, they might not be covered. Outdated schedules. Not adding that new expensive machine to the business policy. If it gets damaged, claim denied.
And these build up.
That's the insidious part. These little errors can pile up over renewals, gradually weakening the coverage without anyone noticing until it's too late.
That's worrying. You also mentioned erosion of coverage. What did that look like practically for the person holding the policy?
This is where the actual protection shrinks, subtly, renewal after renewal. And often, neither the client nor the agent catches it during a manual check.
How?
Maybe liability limits get lowered slightly, sublimits for things like water damage on a home policy get reduced. Key endorsements just vanish, like replacement cost value on personal property might change to actual cash value. Big difference in payout for older stuff.
Right. Depreciation hits hard.
Exactly. Or the causes of loss form on a business property policy changes from special, which covers most things, to a more limited, broad, or basic form. Fewer perils covered, carriers might also add new exclusions.
So things get taken away.
Yeah, and the real danger is that invisibility of omission. It's much harder to spot something missing that should be there compared to spotting something present but incorrect, like a crucial endorsement just not being listed anymore.
That's a really tough thing to catch manually, especially under time pressure. What about the money side for the client? Deductible creep and premium surprises.
Absolutely. Huge source of frustration. An unexpected deductible increase, home, auto, business, means the client pays more out of pocket when they make a claim. That can be a real shock.
Yeah, nobody likes that surprise.
And unexplained premium hikes or discounts disappearing, that makes clients feel like they're not getting value, erodes trust fast.
Which leads us right to the agency's own risk. E&O, errors, and omissions. How does failing to compare deck pages properly put the agency on the hook for these claims?
This is where it gets really serious for the agency itself. Not comparing those pages carefully, and crucially, not communicating material changes to the client. That's a leading cause of E&O claims.
So if a client has a loss that's not covered because of a change the agency missed.
The agency can be sued for negligence, for breaching their duty, the consequences, big legal fees, potentially massive settlement payouts, huge financial hit,
And beyond money.
damage to reputation, loss of client trust, which hurts long-term business. Plus, your own E&O insurance costs go up after claims. And look, good notes are important, but documentation can't fix a bad review up front.
Right.
An error missed during renewal review can just sit there undetected, that silent period, until a claim brings it to light. Then it's too late.
You've definitely painted a clear picture of the risks here. So let's pivot back to the solution you mentioned, Vertaware InsureGenie's CompareGenie. How does this technology step in to help?
Okay, so Vertaware InsureGenie isn't just one thing. It's a suite of tools for agencies. There's RatterGenie for comparing quotes, LeadGenie for managing leads, and DocuGenie for handling documents intelligently. CompareGenie is a specific feature within DocuGenie.
Got it. Part of a bigger system.
Exactly. And its whole focus is automating that side-by-side comparison of deck pages we've been talking about.
And you had some pretty eye-popping stats earlier. Big cuts in review, time, and errors.
Yeah, the numbers are impressive. CompareGenie has been shown to cut the time agents spend on deck page review by up to 60%. 60%.
Wow, that's huge.
And by automating it, it can reduce errors by up to 95% compared to doing it manually. 95% fewer mistakes.
Those are game-changing numbers. Why is relying just on human eyes so tough in today's insurance world? What are the real limits?
Well, like we said, human error is just a factor. People get tired, they're rushed, they overlook things, especially with complex documents. Manual review is also incredibly slow. It eats up hours agents could be spending talking to clients, giving advice, finding new business. Plus, consistency can be an issue. Does everyone in the agency review with the same level of detail? Probably not.
Good point.
And policies just keep getting more complicated, right? More endorsements, more nuanced language. The risk of missing something manually just keeps going up.
Okay, so how does CompareGenie actually do it? What's the tech behind making that comparison so much better?
It uses some pretty smart tech optical character recognition, or OCR, and intelligent text analysis. Basically, it reads the two documents, the old deck page and the new one.
Digitally reads them.
Exactly. Then its algorithms compare them line by line, word by word, number by number. It flags any difference, no matter how small. A changed word in an endorsement, a different limit, a new deductible.
So it catches things a human might easily miss.
Precisely. It takes human error almost completely out of the identification part, and it does it incredibly fast, way faster than a person. It's designed to catch everything, even subtle wording changes in endorsements that could have big implications.
And you mentioned it fits into the wider InsureGenie suite. How does that integration help an agency practically?
Well, being part of that ecosystem means smoother workflows. A renewal duck page comes in, DocuGenie can grab it, CompareGenie can automatically run the comparison against the old policy.
Streamlined.
Very. And the comparison report, highlighting all the differences, gets saved centrally, creates a clear audit trail. This integration really shifts the focus. Instead of just documenting things after the fact to cover your E&O basis.
Or just reactive.
Totally reactive. Instead, you're proactively finding potential issues before the policy is even finalized and sent to the client. It helps standardize that high level of review across the whole agency, too. Everyone benefits from the same rigorous check.
Okay, so we've got time savings, massive error reduction. What are the other big wins for an agency using CompareGenie? Let's talk E&O risk again.
Yeah, that's a major one. It directly tackles E&O exposure. It catches those sneaky changes humans often miss, tiny wording shifts, sublimit changes, a missing insured, different form addition dates.
Things that could lead to claims.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And because it generates detailed reports showing exactly what changed, you have proof of a thorough review. That gives agency staff and owners real peace of mind. You know you have a safety net.
That peace of mind must be worth a lot. What about just running the business day to day? How does it boost operational efficiency?
The time savings are huge operationally. Agents are freed up from that tedious manual comparison. What can they do instead?
Talk to clients. Sell more.
Exactly. More time for advising clients, managing risks, developing business, building relationships. It lets the agency handle more business without getting bogged down in admin. It really helps agents become those proactive advisors clients value, not just paper pushers.
And how does that translate to the client's experience? Does using a tool like this actually build trust?
I think it absolutely does. First, fewer errors mean fewer problems for the client at claim time. That equals higher satisfaction.
Makes sense.
Second, it allows for much better communication. Agents can clearly point out every change at renewal, explain what it means. That shows diligence, shows you're using tech to protect their interests.
Transparency.
All right, that transparency builds trust and loyalty, fewer unpleasant surprises, more confidence in the agency. It creates this positive cycle. Accuracy leads to efficiency, leads to better communication, leads to happier, more loyal clients who refer others.
Okay, so let's say an agency is sold. They want to bring CompareGenie in. What are the best practices for actually implementing it and getting the most out of it?
Good question. It's not just about flipping a switch. You need a solid plan. Integrate CompareGenie into your formal standard operating procedures, SOPs for renewals and new business.
Make it official policy.
Exactly. Define the whole process. How do documents get in? When does comparison happen? Who reviews the reports? What's the process for investigating discrepancies? How do you communicate findings to clients?
Training, too.
Essential. Everyone needs to know how to use the tool and, importantly, how to interpret the comparison reports. And we recommend a final checkpoint after CompareGenie does its thing. We call it the 4 Cs.
Oh, 4 Cs.
Yeah. Confirm any weird findings with the carrier, clarify the impact of any changes for the client, communicate those impacts clearly, and counsel the client on their options. Because remember,
It's a tool, not a replacement for the agent.
precisely, technology enhances expertise. It doesn't replace the agent's judgment and advice.
That's a crucial distinction. So thinking bigger picture, what does adopting this kind of tech mean for an agency's future?
Well, embracing tools like CompareGenie really signals that an agency is forward-thinking, focused on service, ready for the digital age. It fits with where the industry is going, more AI, more automation for efficiency and accuracy. Vertware's whole InsureGenie suite is about that.
Staying competitive.
And reducing risk. Honestly, proactively adopting this tech might even become part of the expected standard of care over time. Agencies that jump on board early might find they have lower E&O risks than those sticking to purely manual methods.
This has been really fascinating. We've definitely done a deep dive into something that sounds, well, tedious deck page review, but is clearly so incredibly important. And seeing how automation like CompareGenie can change the game is eye-opening.
It really is. It's not just admin. It's fundamental protection for the client and the agency.
Yeah, the risks of doing it manually are stark when you lay them out. And the benefits of a tool like CompareGenie efficiency, accuracy, client trust seem pretty compelling.
Absolutely. It tackles those manual process risks head-on and offers a much more robust way forward.
So for everyone listening, agency owners, brokers, agents, even you InsurTech fans, just think about that for a minute. Consider the potential. How much time could your agency save? How much potential liability could you avoid?
And maybe most importantly,
How much stronger could those client relationships be if you had this kind of automated precision backing you up on such a critical task?
That's really the core question, isn't it? And if you are thinking about it, Vertware makes it easy to learn more.
What's the call to action?
You can request a personalized demo of CompareGenie, see it work with the whole InsureGenie suite, check out the Vertware website, lots of info and resources there, or just reach out to a sales rep to talk about your agency's specific situation.
Definitely sounds like something worth exploring for any agency looking to improve efficiency and reduce risk.
Absolutely. It's about working smarter, protecting your clients better, and ultimately building a stronger agency.